Hey guys, how are we doing today? This is Wally with Best Web Hosting for WordPress.net. And if you guys are watching this Hostnoc hosting review, it means that you want to create perhaps a simple website, maybe a blog, or even an e-commerce store using the web hosting services. So what I had in mind today is to go over some very important things that I feel that you guys should know before getting started, not only with Hostnoc, but with any web hosting provider online. These things that we're going to be talking about are things that I have used over the past few years to create simple sites online that generate money for me each and every month. And so what we're going to do, guys, before we get started, if you are totally new here to this channel for Best Web Hosting for WordPress.net, guys, hit the subscribe button right below along with the bell, and that way any future videos that I upload, you'll be sure to receive them. Also, go ahead and smash that like button. That way you show your support for this YouTube channel. That way other amazing people just like yourselves will be to find this same video in YouTube search. You guys are going to find some discounted links right below in the descriptions portion of this video. You can use those today to purchase, be it your shared web hosting if you want to get like dedicated or even like VPS hosting itself. There's some amazing deals that we're going to be talking about today, and you guys can take advantage of them by using the links below. So obviously you guys want to know, what does their web hosting cost? When you create a website, there are a few essential things that you'll need. Off back one, you're going to need a domain name, which is going to be the name of your website. Like in the case of my site, it's Best Web Hosting for WordPress.net. You may want to get a .com, perhaps a .net, a .org, .info, .biz. There are like hundreds upon hundreds of extensions that you guys can select from. But whatever domain name itself or website name that you pick out, you want to make sure that it comes with the SSL certificate, which is the padlock, which just lets your visitors know that your site is secure. And so that's one of the main costs that you'll have to come up with. In the case of Hostnoc, you can get a domain, with them. Again, you can get a .com, a .net. These are just yearly costs that you'll have. And typically domain names, if it's like a .com or so, they may range about 10 to 15 bucks, more or less, just depending on the extension itself that you select. Okay, so that's one cost that's related to like running or managing a site online. The next thing that you have to do is to get what's called web hosting. So your domain name is simply like the address where your website is situated. Just like your house, you have an address, and if someone plugs it in, like in a navigation GPS, it takes them directly to your house. Web hosting itself, guys, is what will allow people to actually view your site online, if that makes sense. And so I'm talking about these things just assuming that you're a beginner online. Maybe you've never created a site before, so I don't want to make any assumptions in this Hostnoc hosting review. I just want to assume that maybe you don't have any idea about what goes into, like creating a site online. So once you create your site online, your web hosting plan that you select, it's going to allow you to display or to show your site to people online on what's called Hostnoc's servers. Okay, now there are different types of web hosting packages that you have access to. You can get what most beginners should start off with, and that's a shared web hosting itself. If you guys click the link that's right below, it's going to bring you to this page right here for Hostnoc, and here you'll be able to see different types of shared web hosting. They're very cheap, very inexpensive, and you can get all the resources that you'll need to get started, online. Of course, the cool thing with Hostnoc is that, once you scale up, if you want to scale up, with your business, which all businesses do at some point or another, when you gain like more traction online, more website visitors, and you start getting traffic from all around the world. Like in the case of my site, Best Web Hosting for WordPress.net, I get visitors not only from the US, but I get visitors from like the UK, like all over Europe, Asia, as well as some other areas as well. And so, once you create your website today with a Hostnoc, you're going to pick out a web hosting package. I recommend beginners to start off with their shared web hosting itself. They have an amazing deal right now where you guys will be able to save 25% off any one of the packages today. So that's why I wanted to do this Hostnoc hosting review. That way I could share with you some amazing ways that you can save the most money, not only on the front end, but also on the back end. The first plan itself normally goes for $4.98 per month, but again, with the 25% discount that you guys are gaining access to with the links below, you'll be able to get it for only $3.74. And you'll see some other discounted plans as well. And basically, as you scale up, you'll get more like storage space, which will allow you to create even more pages, on your site, as well as handling more traffic, for your website needs. Now, if you're a person that already has a website right now, maybe you want to migrate from your current web hosting provider. Maybe you're with like Bluehost, or maybe like HostGator or iPage, or another one of these like Endurance International like companies, and you want to move over to Hostnoc. And so in the case of Hostnoc, they do offer free site migrations. You don't have to pay anything at all to have your site and all of its data moved over to Hostnoc's servers. When you get started today, you can request that. If you have any questions, you can also drop your comments right below. But you can actually upgrade to maybe like a VPS. If your website has been online for quite some time, VPS might be a really nice plan to get. In the case of Hostnoc, they have some really nice VPS plans itself. You can just select the one that you feel would be best for you. I mean, some of the main benefits of having like your very own virtual private server is that, one, again, you're going to have dedicated resources to your actual website itself. When you're using shared web hosting, it's a lot cheaper, but the downside is that you will be sharing resources with other users that occupy a given server. So once you get your own virtual private server, you're going to have resources allocated to your specific website. In the case of the first plan, it normally goes for $7.44 per month. You guys are going to get a 25% discount off and get it for only $5.58 per month. And that's a US pricing that you're looking at right now. With the first tier, you're getting 2 cores along with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So it's even more space than you would get if you were using like a shared web hosting package. 300 gigabytes of SSD. So it's very secure with your files, or keeps your files very secure. And that's something that you want when you're online, promoting like any product or service. You want to make sure that your information and your data, and when people are surfing, on your website, that it's 100% secure. And as I mentioned before, you'll get SSL certificates, and there are other security measures that Hostnoc has in place that I'll talk about going forward. You'll see that with all of the plans itself. You get unmetered bandwidth itself. So it just gives you more speed, more tolerance for traffic online. And the cool thing that I really love about all of the web hosting packages, whether you're going with a shared web hosting or VPS or a dedicated hosting plan, is that with Hostnoc across the board, they support high volumes of traffic. And that's very important because, once you start like creating sites online with any web hosting provider online, very important, guys, to select a web hosting provider online that can handle high volumes of traffic, be it from the US, Europe, Asia, or wherever it is that you have your customers coming from. So what you want to do basically is just determine which plan that you'll go with. If it's going to be like a VPS plan, a shared plan. If you want to get into like dedicated hosting offers even more features and benefits for you. They have some amazing deals. The absolute cheapest dedicated hosting pricing that you'll find, online itself. And of course, some of the major benefits with that is that, again, you have even more RAM, more hard drive, more bandwidth. But one thing that's very unique about Hostnoc's dedicated serving plans is that you'll be able to select your actual server location. And so I mention that because in the case of most web hosting providers that are out there, they will automatically assign you to a server location or automatically assign you to a data center. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, going forward. But in the case of Hostnoc, they'll also allow you to select the data center. That way to provide, a better user experience. And it's going to provide you even faster page loads, for your website itself. And so those are just some brief things that I wanted to mention about Hostnoc's web hosting services. Again, they have shared web hosting, there's VPS, and also dedicated hosting as well. They're mainly considered to be a cloud-based web hosting provider, so you can always count on very fast page loads, and that's something that's very important in Google's eyes. Next, I want to talk about renewal fees versus introductory prices itself. You guys notice that these prices right here, in the case of like the shared hosting and the VPS, you're getting like a 25% discount by using the links up below. And right here, you're getting a 50% off of all of the dedicated plans itself. And so you guys will notice that the pricing itself normally goes for $39.17. But today you guys are getting a really nice discount of $19.59 per month. And of course, this is with the dedicated hosting itself. In the case of like your following year, let's say you get started today using like a dedicated plan, the price is going to increase slightly. And this is the case with any web hosting provider that's online. So what I recommend people to do is the absolute best way that you can save money, not only with Hostnoc, but any web hosting provider online, is to buy more web hosting up front. Think about it like if you're going shopping. If you're going shopping, maybe like, I don't know, Sam's Club or maybe Walmart or Costco or Home Depot, wherever it is that you shop, when you buy more of the product itself, perhaps in bulk, you get it at a discounted rate. And so it's kind of the same idea or thinking, with web hosting itself. If you're just buying like 1 year of a web hosting, like in the case of, say, for example, the dedicated hosting, of course, you'll get it at a discounted rate, which is absolutely amazing. A lot of dedicated hosting providers that I've seen online may start at about $50 per month on up, even up to $100. And so you're getting an amazing deal up front, with Hostnoc. But I just recommend that you buy more than 1 year, because next year, this time, the price is just going to go up. And that's the case with any web hosting provider. And so I wanted to mention that off the gate. That way, you're not surprised about the pricing itself, the next year coming up. I wanted to talk about company reputation. What is it that people think about Hostnoc? This is something that I always look into before I get started with any web hosting provider online. I just think it's important because, obviously if you have an issue with your website and you want to get in contact with somebody, what do you do in that case? And so I wanted to take you guys over to a really nice site called Trustpilot.com. On Trustpilot, you can find unbiased reviews, not only for web hosting, but for just about any product or service out there that you might be interested in purchasing. And so in the case of Hostnoc, you can see that out of 41 reviews that were left on the site, they have 4.6 out of 5. So it's an excellent profile overall. And you guys will notice this is a breakdown, and there's some very positive comments or reviews that were left, like right here. And if you want, what I'll do is I'll link to this right below, and that way you guys can take a look at all of, the comments that are there, and you can come to really appreciate the solid company that you're getting started with today. And so they have 24/7 customer support by phone, chat, and emails. You guys can clearly see right here, there are a lot of unlimited features that you get. I mentioned about like bandwidth or unmetered bandwidth as well. There are not a lot of restrictions. The only real restrictions that you have is really, with the amount of space that comes with each individual package, if that makes sense. And so I think that in the case of like web hosting itself, you may not need to have unlimited bandwidth for everything, or unlimited disk space, or unlimited this, unlimited that. Most websites online today consume about 5 gigabytes of storage, more or less, 5 to 10 max. And so you're getting more than that, with your web hosting itself in general. Depending on the package that you select today, whether it's like a shared web hosting plan or a VPS or a dedicated, you have certain restrictions on each one of those plans in the way of resources. But I think it's an absolute amazing deal that you're getting, with the web hosting across the board. And so I just recommend that you get what you feel would be best for you. And that way you can just scale up as you go and grow online. The next area that I wanted to talk about, guys, that's extremely important in this Hostnoc hosting review is security. I was looking at a stat online, and the stat itself mentioned that an average of 30,000 websites are hacked each and every day. Another site that I found online that was very, very interesting, it mentioned that well over 155 million people were exposed to data breaches and hackers, and that was in 2020. And so when you think about that, like that collective number, obviously it shows the importance of having a website that's secure. Now, I already mentioned in the beginning of this Hostnoc hosting review that Hostnoc does give you free SSL certificates. It's a requirement by Google, and it's actually something that they consider amongst all the other factors for SEO ranking. They actually look for websites that have SSL certificates. So you can see, like in the case of my site, best web hosting for WordPress.net, it has an SSL certificate. You'll be getting that today for free with any of the web hosting packages that you get started with. Something in addition to the SSL certificates that you guys will get is a very strong security protection against malware, brute force, DDoS attacks. Hostnoc has in place mod security. It's very strict with the rules that are set up, and so it blocks in everything that tries to attack your website. And so that's something that I really love about what they have in place. All of the measures that they've taken to protect websites, and for this reason, I wanted to share that point with you guys in this Hostnoc hosting review. CDNs are an absolute must. CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. You need this. Every website should have this. A lot of web hosting providers online may charge for it, or you may only get it if you have like a managed web hosting package. But in the case of Hostnoc, they give it to you for free. You need this because, as I mentioned before, when you start to grow in traffic over time, you're publishing more content, you're promoting or marketing your website, more people are discovering your website online. You're going to need CDNs to balance and actually process all of that traffic, that way your website doesn't crash. CDNs are also good for promoting faster page load. So again, wherever it is that your visitors are coming from, obviously you guys are watching this video perhaps on YouTube, but if you're on my website and you're watching it, I get visitors from everywhere. Okay. And so having a CDN in place helps to process all of this traffic all at once. That way my website never crashes. Something else that helps, with that, with the CDNs is Nginx hosting. And all that means in a nutshell, again, is that Hostnoc is able to process high volumes of traffic all day, every day, without your website crashing. I mentioned earlier that you guys will have the option of being able to select which data center that you want to create your website. I think that's extremely important because, I'm in the US and I could have my website, created and actually host it off a US data center. And that's very important because if the vast majority of my website visitors come from the US, I don't want to select a server that's in like France or maybe Germany or the Netherlands. As if you do that, what's going to happen is that it's going to take a lot more time to redirect your visitors, back to your website. So one of the huge benefits, of being able to select your very own data center versus it being selected for you is that, again, it's going to provide better user experience. Your visitors, if they're coming from the US, you can select a data center that's in the US. And that way it's going to provide even faster page loads and user experience, for them. Nobody wants to wait more than 3 seconds for a page to load. That's a stat that I found on Google's blog itself. And so websites that take over 3 seconds to load, people are likely to abandon it and go somewhere else, go to another search result. And so in the case of Hostnoc, being that they allow you to, one, have free CDNs, they're using Nginx hosting, and also you get to select your own data center. All of these elements help your website to load really fast in under 3 seconds. And as a result, they rank a lot higher in Google's search engines. Now, in the case of the dedicated server locations, they have some specific locations that you can select from with the dedicated hosting if you're going that route. There's Los Angeles, Chicago, Amsterdam, Miami, Dallas, New York, and Seattle. So you can select from one of those locations if you are going to get started today with one of the dedicated server hosting plans. If not, you can select from different locations. When you create your website, guys, you can create your site using a CMS platform as a content management system itself. The most common one that most beginners get started with is WordPress. But when you get started today with their dashboard, you'll be able to create your site using WordPress. You can select from Joomla, Drupal, Magento, OpenCart. There are tons of different CMS platforms and scripts that you'll be able to select from. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee. You will get your money back 100%. And so do I recommend using Hostnoc? Of course. I highly, highly recommend using Hostnoc. They have super reliable web hosting services. They have amazing customer support, amazing security, and amazing deals that help you guys to save money, not only on the front end, but also on the back end. So I invite you guys to get started today by using the links below. If you haven't done so already, guys, I want you to like this video, share it, also subscribe to this YouTube channel. That way you'll be able to catch next videos that I upload. Get started today.